to those who are watching now on squaredoctagon.com, which is now hosting all my predictions videos and recap videos, as well as my my write-ups for the Ultimate Fighter Season 12, which have begun, and you can see them all if you go to squaredoctagon.com. We now have WEC 51. I have to say that the WEC is doing a lot better than the UFC at the moment. Part of the problem is, with the UFC flooding the market, there's a making of matches for the sake of producing a pay-per-view, and the performance is suffering because of it. That this first match I'm not particularly interested in. This is Demetrius Johnson versus Nick Page. I think I'm going to go for Nick on this one. I might go for decision. Antonio Benoit is fighting Chad George. Not too excited about this because I think that Chad George might be a little bit out of his depth here. You know, they're very similar in terms of strengths and weaknesses, but Benoit has faced a lot better in terms of calibers. For that reason, I'm going to go for him. I think I might go for TKO in the second there. It's a similar story again for Tyler Toner and Diego Nunes, who are next on the card. Again, very sort of similar in terms of what their strengths and their weaknesses are. Having said that, I'm still going to go for Diego Nunes. I just feel that he has... I think if Tyler Toner wins this one, then he's suddenly set himself on a much higher level, and people are going to start taking notice of him. And I don't think it's impossible for him to win this one. I just think that Diego Nunes again has faced better opponents, whether he's won or lost, and he has lost to a couple of calibers, like LC Davis for example, but I feel that he just has the advantage, so I'm going to go for him. Chris Horodecki versus Ed Ratcliffe. You know, I'd like to see nothing better than Ratcliffe winning this one. And the reason for that is basically my bias against Chris Horodecki, and I totally admit it. It's because he's involved far too often in low blows, not punished for them, and I think they have the potential to change the match in his favour. The problem with Ed Ratcliffe is his record's a tad dodgy when it comes to facing calibers, and with Chris Horodecki's record of wins, you know, stretching all the way back through the IFL, I'm afraid I'm going to have to say I think that he will win this one. The next fight is Mike Brown versus Cole Province. Now, Cole Province is an interesting one because I didn't know very much about him. He's never been finished, but he has lost both times by decisions to calibers, and those calibers are people that he's faced in the WEC, but when he was in it before, he had a run before. One of which I believe was overturned by the Nevada State Athletic Commission and made into a no contest. He's facing Mike Brown, and I just don't think he stands a chance at all. So I'm going to go for TKO in the first there. Taekwon Zhang, do you know I couldn't find anything on him at all. I have probably spelt his name completely wrong. He's facing Jason Reinhardt, who I know at one point was an MFS affiliate, and I now know through people on the forum and their association with him. So I'm going to go for him winning here. I don't know how because I don't know enough about Taekwon Zhang, although I think his name is fantastic. I don't know anything about him. I couldn't find him on Sherdog, probably my own fault, but there we are. Leonard Garcia is fighting Mark Hominick. This is going to be, take my word for it, fight of the night. The reason is that both of the guys like to stand up and trade, but both are also equally very good on the ground, which means no matter where it goes, both people are going to be able to attack and defend in those areas, leading to a good match. I'm going to say that I think Leonard Garcia will win this one. Those of you who know me do know that I have had contact with him in the past, and I do think he's the better fighter as well. But I'm going to go for him. I'll go for TKO in the third there. Moving on towards the main card now, Chan Sung Young is facing George Roop. George Roop has a bit of a dodgy record. He loses to most of the calibers he faces. Leonard Garcia is the exception to the rule, although George Roop didn't beat him, they went to a draw. Chan Sung Young is coming off a split decision loss to Leonard Garcia. His usual wins are by decision or submission. I think I'll go for Chan Sung Young on this. I'll go for a bar submission in the second. Miguel Torres is fighting Charlie Valencia. Fantastic match, this one. And it totally depends, I think, on Miguel Torres. If he's planning on making his sort of start of a comeback, and he fights the way that we all know that he can, he will win this match. If he doesn't, Charlie Valencia might. Charlie Valencia faced a lot of calibers, but they were all quite a long time ago. He went all the way up to the top whilst Uriah Faber was on the throne, and then got knocked all the way down. And since then, about 4 to 7 fights ago, he hasn't really been facing calibers. So this is the first true caliber he's going to be facing. I won't say ring rust because he has been fighting the whole time, but this is a big step up, like the one he's had, maybe a year and a half ago. For that reason, if Miguel Torres, turns up and fights properly, I'll go for him, and I'll go for TKO in the second there. The long-awaited rematch between Jamie Varner and Donald Cerrone is the co-main event, so to speak, of this card. Jamie Varner already has a win over Donald Cerrone. When they last met, it was by split decision. These two are both submission kings. I think because Jamie Varner already has a win over Donald Cerrone, I think the chances are quite high that he'll win again. I'll do it by unanimous decision this time though. That's not to say that Donald Cerrone doesn't stand a chance. This one also could be a very interesting and very exciting fight. The main event, Josie Aldo versus Manny Gamburyan. What does Manny Gamburyan have that Josie Aldo hasn't seen? Nothing apart from judo throws, and it will be interesting to see if Manny Gamburyan can throw him around. I'd just like to see it. I don't know why. It would make me laugh. I don't think he'll be able to do it. I think with Josie Aldo's explosive, force, Josie Aldo's just going to be up there for a very long time. So I'll put Josie Aldo. I might even be sort of blasé about it and say submission in the second. And those are my predictions.